Today my topic is a love-hate relationship with nature. To start with, I would like to introduce this. This is the cat at our school gate. Some of you in my audiences may have encountered it before. She lives on people's ski bumps. She gets pregnant twice a year, 3 to 4 kittens at a time. Though only few of her children can survive. They can die easily for any reason, such as food shortage, bad weather, and busy transport. Well, although these kind of cruel lifestyles written in their nature, we feel sorry for them. Also, when we see stray animals are abused, when we hear animals are driven crazy due to captivity, we feel hurt, we feel sad. We tell ourselves we have to help them, we have to save them. We feel angry to those persecutors. That's because we love them. However, we love nature too much, and we rely on it too much. We all know that we have to damage nature to some extent to survive, like cutting down trees for fire. But we never know how much we take until we're running out of all the resources. And when we're finally realizing what we're doing, we try to fix it up. When we're trying to fix this up, we might cause more damages, and this happened, well, every time, almost. So what exactly we have done to nature? We keep animals in captivity, telling us we're protecting them. For domesticated animals, we claim that they're our belongings, treating them with strict rules that seem to be taken for granted. While when the animals are not obeying those rules, they get punished, like being whipped when being lazy, well, tired in fact. Statistics show that more than 70% of the farm animals present stereotypical behaviors. Stereotypical behaviors is a kind of repeated and meaningless behavior patterns indicating levels of low welfare, including but not limited to insufficient care and housing conditions, lack of interaction with multiple social partners, and developmental disorders. Well, you may wonder that what this kind of behavior pattern can cause. Here is an example. One male adult driven slow lorries ate the head of a baby lorries due to this kind of abnormal behavior. And what about captive wild animals? What we have done to them? Just imagine for me, if you are kidnapped from your mother under her eyes when you're about 4 years old and she could do nothing about that. You were then thrown into very small houses that you could barely move yourself, with 5 crazy roommates that you cannot talk to. And when you're about 6 years old, knowing other children are going to primary school, you were trained to perform, and if you didn't do well that day, you didn't get food. As time flies, you are an adult. You got your own baby. You put all your attention on taking care of your baby, watching it grow, watching it learn to walk and talk. You loved your baby very much. You try to avoid the sorrow from your life by taking care of it. However, when your baby is finally old enough to be trained, they took him away, and you could never know where he went. Feel it from your heart. Isn't it painful? That's what a captive orca might thought. And this feeling might be even stronger because orca have an extensive part in the brain dealing with their emotions. This kind of stress might lead to shortened lifespan as well as aggressive behaviors. A female orca can reach its 100th in the wild, but can only reach its 30th in captivity. Another way that humans can impact the nature is by moving species from place to place, whether because we like their looks or because they can provide us with other benefits such as food. Some of them escaped captivity and survived in the wild. Brown tree snakes is one of the examples. These snakes invaded the island of Guam, which is in the Mariana Islands, in 1940s. Native birds on the island were especially vulnerable because they had no experience dealing with such predators. The snakes soon reached a population density of up to 13,000 individuals per square mile. Well, these snakes are nocturnal animals. Birds on the island roost in trees at night with the nest, the eggs and chicks. So, not surprisingly, they're easily preyed. And the native birds of Guam were wiped out by the 1980s. As a result, without birds to eat them, the spider population exploded. It was shown that Guam had 40 times as many spiders as the islands nearby where birds were still there. Guam's forests began to change too. Birds that eat fruit help the trees disperse the seed in their droppings. Now the birds are gone, the plants are less effective at reproducing. Therefore, biodiversity of the new forest is lost. However, not all species adapt to their new environments so well. One of those examples is about sea turtles. On a full moon night, sea turtle babies emerged from sand. They ought to crawl to the ocean under the guidance of the moonlight. However, neon lights from the cities are much more brighter than the moonlight, so they went to the city under the direction of neon lights. And that means almost none of them can survive. They could die stuck in a plastic cup, smashing by cars, and getting trapped in the drainage. While if one is fortunate enough to avoid those above, it will die from dehydration very soon. While for the minority, about 20% of the newborn turtles, hungry crabs and seabirds are waiting for them. In the end, almost none of them can survive to the ocean. If this lasts long term, we might lose this species entirely. We didn't mean it, but it just happened. In contrast, it might sound ridiculous, the same thing happened in a conservation site. During 1920s, American governments thought it's so poor for those elks in Yellowstone Park to be eaten by the wolves, so we have to protect them. And this is what they have done. Wolves are hunted to extinction in Yellowstone by 1922. As a result, without wolves to eat them, population of elks exploded, leading to an increase in food consumption, which means there were bad news for plants that were favored by the elks, such as willows. The areas around streams and rivers where willows grow had become bare during the decades that wolves were disappeared. You may be wondering that What will happen if we really lost those species like sea turtles and wolves? Did the population explosion thing happen in accident? Well, no. Sea turtles and wolves are species that are called Keystone Species. These species help maintain diversity in ecological communities by preventing any one species of prey from dominating the others. If the Keystone Species is lost, population of prey species burst, and fierce competition starts within those prey species. Ultimately, only the most competitive one can survive. So lost the biodiversity, the ecosystem becomes more vulnerable and will crumble soon and can never be restored. Just like a cup for Kentucky, which can no longer hold food and water. The damaged ecosystem is no longer functional and can never recover as before. Well, despite all above, humans are really trying to do something to help our nature, to help it be better, and some of these really worked. For example, captive animals are provided with environmental enrichment that mimic their natural habitats. And as the internet developed, more and more persecutors are exposed, and those animals were transported to better accommodations. For invasive species, people are trying to deal with them with much scientific methods such as spraying herbicides. Last but not least, lost keystone species were introduced, and the environment was gradually recovering. To conclude, as people's awareness of not hurting our nature increases, more and more real positive things will be done. And I believe that there is still hope for us if we continue not doing further harm to our nature. Although just like the cup for Kentucky, although it lost its practicability, it still has its aesthetic value. Thank you.